Hello everyone, thanks so much for coming back to my channel, and if this is your first time, this is not my normal voice, but I hope that you'll subscribe and stay a while. This video, I have already done an intro, but I was standing outside in between the traffic and my voice, you just couldn't hear half of everything. So I wanted to reintroduce. This video, I take you along as I do something that for me was very scary, and it was the first time I've ever done it. I got sugared for the very first time. And if you've never heard of sugaring, sugaring is an alternative hair removal practice to something like waxing. In my intro, I knew nothing about sugaring other than it was a little better for the skin since sugaring hangs onto just the hair and not the skin, and wax hangs onto the skin. That's why it hurts so badly. I won't give you my opinion yet until I do my outro, but that's what I had done today. There's an amazing sugarist in Brooklyn where I was staying. The name on Instagram is sugaring.brooklyn, and I'll put it here on the screen. I knew I always wanted to get sugared by Natalie. Their name is Natalie, and easy for me to remember. I've known Natalie from the internet for forever, and then several years ago they started sugaring, and I've always thought, like, if I ever get that done, I want to go to Natalie. And I had never had any kind of hair removal procedure pretty much anywhere on my body, except maybe once or so I've gotten my lip done. Other than that, no, not really, especially not something like a full Brazilian, which I got today. And I know for some people it may be kind of weird to talk about. If this is something that's uncomfortable for you, I encourage you not to watch the video. But for me, I am not embarrassed talking about things like that. And so I know that other people might be curious about the process, and so that's why I wanted to make this video. Since I've already gotten it done and I don't want to spoil any of my opinions about the situation, I wanted to go ahead. Let me start rolling the footage and then watch it, and then we'll come back and talk about my experience. Okay, I'm in the Uber now, but something I wanted to add is that, like I said, I kind of have not much idea of what will happen, but I trust Natalie to do the best. I am really nervous. It's a very intimate experience, especially with somebody that you kind of know. Hair removal is not something that I think everybody has to do by any means. I am just curious about the experience. But yeah, okay. I'll check in with y'all when I get there. I'm gonna try to talk, y'all. My voice is trash. This is Natalie, the wonderful sugarist I've been looking forward to getting sugared by for so long. I didn't want to trust anyone else, and I'm so happy that this worked out. Thank you so much for letting me video you. I know it's weird.
That's okay. No, it's fine. Thank you so much for wanting to. We have Jane outside. Jane is our general manager.
Great.
Her pronouns are she, hers. We also have Erica here. Erica is my other sugarist. Okay. I trust her completely with my clients. She's amazing. She's a great sugarist, and she's intersectional. Great. And Erica's pronouns are also she, hers. My pronouns are they, them. Great. And what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Thank you so much.
Natalie prepped me thoroughly for the risks of things that could happen, just like with any skin service, but they are a professional. It was awesome that they kept me informed. Nothing bad happened, of course, but I really liked feeling educated.
So because wax is an oil-soluble product, there's not really a whole lot of visual cues that tell you whether wax is too hot or not, right? Okay. So the chances for burning are just a bit higher, right? You just want your waxer to really always be testing. Right. And the one time they don't test, maybe you get burned that time, right? Nice. The cool thing about sugar is it's water soluble, and water solubility it gives us a visual cue and we know exactly when something is too hot for the skin because it's liquid. So basically you're safe.
Okay.
That's something you can relax on. I can't burn you.
Okay, that's
Because
great.
if it was too hot for your skin, I wouldn't be able to bring it to your body. It's got to be thick enough for me to bring to your body. If it's thick enough, it is safe enough.
I see. Okay, that's great.
Because wax is oil soluble, it can latch onto live skin cells, right? Live skin cells are water-based cells, and oil soluble products like a resin can attach to them and lift them up and give you a proper bloody scalp, right?
Okay, yeah.
We can't do that to you in this space, but we can expose live skin cells.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to talk about that very quickly. We have all these layers of dead and dry skin cells, right? And that covers up our live skin cells. That's why we have a matte finished skin, and that's why we're not shiny all the time, right?
Okay.
If I were to pull too many times and sugar you 7, 8, 9, 10 times in one spot, maybe I go through all of those dead and dry skin cells and all of a sudden you have shiny skin.
I see.
Shiny skin tells me that we have exposed live skin cells, and that's going to be a little raw, right? It's going to feel a little bit raw.
Okay.
Kind of like if you got a really intense chemical peel,
Okay.
which I don't recommend.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, I've done it. I don't recommend it.
yeah. So if that ever does happen, if we do ever do that, those things usually happen in our high friction areas, right? So thigh creases, belly creases, inner labia, perineum, and anal folds. These are all the areas that are prone to exposure. And that's just because the more that we have friction, the more that we thin out our skin. And so I could just go over it once and we could expose.
I see.
If that ever does happen, I have a healing cream here. I would send you home with healing cream.
Okay.
And because you don't have a healing issue, you're gonna be fine in a day.
Okay, great.
Natalie also went through all the different ways that I could verbalize or non-verbalize to them if I needed the process to stop for pain, body feels, any of the reasons. So that was really nice too, feeling like I had agency to request to stop if necessary.
We have the Sugar Fund. It centers transgender and sex workers, right? Anybody whose body hair affects their mental health or ability to pay their rent, right? And so we have a fund for that. It's a finite fund. We put 10% into it and we ask for donations. That is a live button that is on our website for application to be in the Sugar Fund and to donate.
Great.
Obviously, physical accessibility is a really big deal here. You know, outside of the furniture, we're trying to make the furniture better, but this bed is lower, right? So we can, I'm a disabled bodied person. I have adaptive tools, which is this stool that I sit on, right, to protect my body. This is at a really low setting also for transferring for wheelchairs.
Great.
So everything about this building is wheelchair accessible.
It's on the 6th floor and there's an elevator.
Yeah, so that was we were looking for that.
Great.
If I call a part of your body by a name that you're not comfortable with, please let me know. It does not have to be gender related.
Okay.
And let's get started.
Thank you so much.
Glycolic polymer solutions. Ingrown prevention and treating.
Okay.
But when I do it before we sugar, it actually loosens up the hairs.
Oh, okay.
And so for people that have densely packed hairs, it's like, it means a lot. It can mean a lot for them. I just feel like, you know, I want to give you all the things. I just don't really feel like you necessarily need it.
Okay.
I feel like your hairs are in pretty good shape.
Okay.
If I start pulling you and that's not the case, I'll lay down the glycolic.
Sure. Okay, great.
So that's sugar. And this is a certified organic fair trade sugar. It's just made with lemon sugar and water.
Oh, awesome.
Super simple. It's basically lemonade, but in different, right?
Right.
Different form.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I use a loose paste. You can tell it's kind of drippy. And I'll probably even use a looser paste on you today, but we're going to start with something a little bit average in the middle. I'm just going to do some molding here. Molding. I'm molding right over your belly crease.
Right.
Ready? Actually, one more mold. You ready? There we go. Pressure. Good. That's your first pull.
That's not bad.
Good.
It's not bad at all.
A little section below it. Sorry for those little tugs. You ready? Good. Beautiful. All right. Good job.
Thank you.
Are you feeling tender anywhere?
Just like I would expect. You know what I mean? Like I'd expect. Hair removal. Yeah.
Tugs. You ready? There we go.
That was the least fun one.
That was the least fun one. There was a lot going on there.
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now I but I reduced down greatly the amount of the consultation that I put in. The consultation was about 10 to 15 minutes. Natalie was extremely thorough, very thoughtful in the questions that they asked, as well as the information given. Throughout the entire process, I was not surprised at anything that happened. I felt very prepared. I also felt very educated as to why something was happening. You know, I know not everybody in the world can go to Natalie, but if you have the opportunity to visit them, to have services done, I cannot recommend it enough. As far as pain, it was maybe, even at the worst, like worst, most painful spots, like a 4 out of 10. I'm being serious. And plus, it's a pain where it's instant and then it's gone. Natalie does a lot of, from what I could tell was happening, applying pressure to the places that they've just sugared. My guess is that that helps swelling as well as some of the pain. And then they took really great amounts of time afterwards for aftercare, and oiled and creamed and all of that kind of area to make sure that, you know, the redness was reduced, all of that. From what I could see almost immediately after getting it done, I'm not red, I'm not swollen, I wasn't bleeding, anything. And almost, I'd say within a minute of the procedure being totally done, it's like nothing had ever happened. Now, do I think some people might find it more painful? Sure, if you have a lower pain tolerance, which is fine. I tend to have a pretty high pain tolerance, but something that you'll notice during the clips is that Natalie does this breathing thing while they're sugaring. And that helps remind you to take a breath. They reminded me that most of the time whenever we're in pain or we are anticipating pain, we stop breathing. And that's actually one of the worst things that you can do to try to help soothe yourself. So breathing during it is gonna be essential. As far as cost, I wanted to give y'all a price breakdown. So the full Brazilian, like the whole shebang, is $95. Now, as something I'm not quite sure yet when I'm filming this if I will include this just for time, Natalie went through their pricing structure, as well as the fact that they are a no-tip facility because they do an automatic built-in service fee of 20%. If you wanted to give beyond that, I'm sure you could, but they do, so for a $95 service, it'd be about 20 bucks, which is what I would give anyway. Something also too, just in case I don't include it, but I'm sure I will, the fact that they have what they call the sugar fund. That is a fund that they put money into, as well as they encourage others to donate to, for people who don't necessarily have access to the services, people like trans people or sex workers. And so I ended up, you know, putting into that, which I feel really good about. So I spent about $150 today, but I got the service fee, the products, like about 3 or 4 different products, and I put into the fund as well. For something as intimate and as much education as Natalie gave me, and how comfortable that they made me feel, I feel so good giving my money to that business. I am going to put Natalie's website down in the description box, as well as their Instagram, and it has pricing lists on the website, how to book appointments, all of that kind of stuff. I cannot recommend Natalie enough. I'll be really sad whenever, you know, I have to find a new place if this is something that I want to continue doing. I'm so happy that I did it, and to be honest, Natalie made me feel so prepared for the service that my fear subsided substantially. And once you do the first pull and you know what it'll be like, it was a no-brainer. I was like, okay. And I'd say my full session, full session as far as the hair removal went, was maybe 20 minutes if I had to guess, 20-30 minutes at most. And then there was the post care, which was wonderful and was really great for my skin, and my skin is really happy right now. But yeah, I just wanted to share this experience. I know this is something that either not a lot of people have had done, especially plus size people, because we don't feel welcome or we feel extra nervous to have our anatomy in front of people who we feel may not be used to handling our kind of anatomy. Our bodies are different than thin people, and there are parts of our bodies that we have to move out of the way, or ways we have to stretch so they can get where they need to go. And Natalie did not make me feel even a second worth of embarrassed or shy or anything. If I had asked Natalie to, you know, for a moment, if something was weird or, you know, not to handle me in a certain way, they would have listened immediately. And that's something that they went over in the consultation, is that you run the appointment and you have the autonomy to say if something is not good for you or something hurts or whatever it may be. But I had a wonderful experience. It was great. And so my biggest advice for you, if you cannot go to Brooklyn, is to do some research, read reviews, like things on Yelp, Google, check out Instagram, see if you can find, if you can Google a body positive sugaring place in your area. Call the place beforehand, especially if you've never talked to them before. They're not going to know who you are. If you call and say, do you have experience working with plus size customers, things like that, you have the right to ask, and you have the right to be curious, and you are a paying customer just like everybody else, no matter how your anatomy is different. So I really encourage you, if you want to have this kind of service done, to go and do it and not be afraid, or to be afraid and do it anyway. If you have any other questions, I will try to answer them in the comments below. And if I can't answer it, I'm sure if you want to reach out to Natalie, if you will be booking their services, please be respectful of their time. If you'll be booking their services, that they would be happy to answer questions for you. But thank you so much for watching my video today. I know it's something very different for my channel, but I wanted to open the conversation and just the idea that you can have any kind of service that you want and you are not excluded from the beauty world. But thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time. I feel so aerodynamic.